At the beginning of the story, we're introduced to the main character, a small pig named Hitpig. Despite how tough his name sounds, he starts off as a tiny, innocent piglet. He's being raised by a rough and rugged woman named Bertha, who takes him under her wing. Now, Bertha doesn't live an ordinary life. She's in a dangerous line of work. She's a bounty hunter who specializes in tracking down animals that have escaped from zoos, circuses, and labs, and returning them to their owners. Over time, Bertha begins training young Hitpig in this same gritty profession. With each new job, she teaches him how to hunt down runaway animals, how to track them, and how to capture them, skills Hitpig starts to learn with growing eagerness. Gradually, Hitpig transforms, not just in ability, but in spirit. The once soft and cuddly piglet starts taking on the same cold, hardened edge as Bertha. One day, they get a new assignment. A lizard has escaped from a circus. Confident as always, Bertha and Hitpig head out to bring it back. But what they find isn't a small lizard at all, it's a massive crocodile. The mission quickly spirals into chaos. The moment they spot the crocodile, the creature charges straight at them. Hitpig freezes in terror. For the first time, he's overwhelmed, unable to act. Meanwhile, Bertha, trying to protect him, steps in to take on the beast. Tragically, the crocodile attacks Bertha, and she loses her life trying to shield Hitpig. Her death leaves a lasting scar on Hitpig, and the story jumps forward several years. Now older, tougher, and emotionally shut off, Hitpig continues the job alone. Bertha's loss hardened him further, and now he works without compassion, just another cog in the system that catches and returns animals. At this point in the story, we shift to a power plant where two bumbling scientists are running an experiment involving a clever cat named Polecat. They attach a harness to him and send him running through a narrow pipe system to retrieve a mysterious glowing element. Polecat, smart and agile, manages to find the element, grab it, and head back through the pipe. But something goes wrong. A few drops of the substance fall to the ground inside the power plant, and moments later, it causes a chain reaction. The entire facility explodes in a massive blast. Chaos ensues. In the middle of it all, Polecat manages to escape, sprinting away from the scene. The plant's security footage captures the escape, and immediately, the authorities contact the one bounty hunter they know can handle it, Hitpig. By now, Hitpig is a full-on professional. He arms himself with his favorite high-tech weapon and heads straight to the scene. Without wasting time, he tracks down Polecat and manages to subdue him with his weapon. He drags him back to the authorities at the plant and collects his fee. It's just another job for him, cold and emotionless. The story takes a turn again. Now we meet another character, an elephant nicknamed Pickles. Pickles is a female elephant currently being held in a circus. She didn't choose to be there. She's being forced to perform by a ruthless circus owner named Leticia, who inherited the business from his family and is desperate to keep it alive. Leticia wants to make a name for himself by putting on the greatest animal show Las Vegas has ever seen, no matter what it costs. He mistreats the animals in his care, locking them up and using force to make them perform. Pickles is one of his biggest attractions. While Leticia prepares for the show, we return to Hitpig. After a long day, he heads home and indulges in his real passion, cooking. In fact, Hitpig dreams of one day appearing on a cooking show and becoming a chef. But because he's a pig and society mocks him, he's too ashamed to chase that dream. Still, he loves preparing gourmet meals for himself while watching cooking competitions on TV. His peaceful evening is suddenly interrupted by a phone call. The local zoo reports that a koala has escaped, and they need him to bring it back. Hitpig sighs, abandons his dinner, and gets back to work. The koala has been freed by a mysterious woman named Leticia, who works in direct opposition to Hitpig. While he hunts and returns animals, Leticia liberates them, setting animals free from captivity in exchange for payment. She believes animals should live free, not behind bars. Hitpig begins his hunt, determined to retrieve the koala. He eventually finds him and confronts him. But the koala refuses to go back. He explains that children at the zoo climb on him and treat him horribly. "I'm not going back," he says. "I'd rather take my chances out here." But Hitpig is unmoved. "I don't care about your reasons. I was paid to bring you back," he says. Despite the koala's protests and his attempt to flee, Hitpig captures him and returns him to the zoo. He collects his reward and walks away, emotionless. Meanwhile, back at the circus, we return to Pickles the elephant. She's locked in a cage, dreaming of freedom. Then, a good guard comes by to feed her. Pickles gives him a newspaper that has an ad from Leticia offering help to animals in need. The guard, inspired by the ad, decides to call Leticia for help, hoping she can free Pickles from this place. Leticia responds quickly. Back at home, Hitpig is once again watching TV and eating dinner when he receives a surprise call from Leticia herself. She doesn't just call, she makes a challenge to him. She set up a secret account to hack Hitpig's bank account. Because he catches the animals, she frees and returns them, and she wants to take revenge on him. Hitpig, though morally conflicted, accepts the challenge. It's just business to him. Leticia frees animals because she believes in their freedom. Hitpig catches them because that's what he's trained to do. After all this, across town, we see Pickles, held captive in a run-down old circus. The place is falling apart. Suddenly, Leticia sneaks in like a ghost, grabs Phil, cage, and all, and escapes. A little while later, Leap-In, the guy who owns the circus, shows up with some food for Pickles, only to find the cage empty. He panics immediately. Without wasting a second, Leap-In calls Hitpig in a frenzy, shouting, "Someone's stolen my elephant. You have to get him back." As soon as Hitpig hears this, he flashes back to Leticia's call earlier and instantly knows, yep, she's behind it. Just as he's about to quote his usual price for the job, Leap-In cuts him off. "I'll pay you $1 million, just bring my elephant back." That's all Hitpig needed to hear. Deal sealed. He hangs up and immediately checks flight data to see if an elephant-sized passenger might be sneaking out of the country. Bingo! There's a flight headed to India, and the cargo list includes a very large guest. Without wasting a second, Hitpig goes towards them and takes off. Meanwhile, Leticia and Pickles land on their destination. Pickles still in his cage. Inside, Pickles peers out the window and sees what looks like a giant elephant figure outside. His heart skips a beat. Growing up alone, he's always dreamed of finding someone like him. Thinking it's a real elephant, Pickles bursts out of his cage and runs toward it, full of excitement. On the other side, Hitpig is now tracking Pickles using his high-tech sensors. The trail leads him right to the same building Phil just ran into. Phil, thrilled and hopeful, enters the building and starts dancing joyfully, thinking he's finally found his family. Just as Pickles is about to break into a full-blown dance number on stage, Hitpig walks in and spots him. He quietly pulls out his tranquilizer gun. But before he can take aim, Pickles hears the commotion and bolts straight onto the stage, right into the middle of a performance filled with people dressed as elephants. The crowd is cheering, lights are flashing, and Pickles blends in perfectly. Hitpig, now losing patience, chases him down. The two crash through props and stage equipment, causing utter chaos and bringing the entire stage crashing down. Pickles, trying to escape, grabs a rope and starts climbing it to the top of the stage rigging. Hitpig follows closely behind, clinging to the rope. But his grip slips and he falls hard. Meanwhile, Pickles reaches the top and comes face to face with the elephant he saw earlier, but it turns out to be just a giant hologram. The illusion shatters in his hands. Just then, Hitpig catches up to him. Pickles turns and asks, "Are you one of my kind? Are you like me?" Hitpig, thinking fast, decides to play along. "Yep," he says. "I'm an elephant too. Broke my nose when I was little, that's why it doesn't look like yours." Pickles believes him instantly and beams with joy. "Did Leticia send you?" Pickles asks. Hitpig nods, "She sure did. She wants you to come with me." And just like that, Pickles agrees. The two head back down and Hitpig leads him to the port where Lipin is waiting. But Pickles, still convinced they're on their way to India, follows without suspicion. Later, disguised in civilian clothes, Hitpig and Pickles sneak into the airport, narrowly avoiding Leticia. Once they board the plane, everything seems under control until Pickles says he needs to use the restroom. While he's off trying to find it, he unexpectedly runs into Leticia. She spots Hitpig from across the cabin and instantly knows what's happened. Hitpig kidnaps and takes Pickles back to Lipin. Furious, she pulls out her weapon and charges at him. A wild shootout breaks out midair. The fight spirals out of control, and both Leticia and Hitpig end up seriously wounded. In the middle of this chaos, Pickles, looking for the restroom, accidentally opens the emergency exit, thinking it's another bathroom. The plane's back door swings wide open, and everything begins to spiral, literally. Air pressure drops, passengers scream, and one by one, things start flying out of the plane. In the madness, Hitpig and Pickles are sucked right out of the aircraft. As they plummet toward the ground, Hitpig shouts in panic, "We're going to die." But Pickles, somehow still cheerful, replies, "Don't worry. It's gonna be fun." Right then, Hitpig notices the colorful costume Pickles is wearing. Without hesitation, he grabs it, yanks it off, and stretches it out, turning it into a makeshift parachute. Against all odds, it works. The two of them float safely to the ground. They land in what looks like an abandoned hotel, a relic from another era. The place is completely empty. As Hitpig regains his composure, he spins around and glares at Pickles. "Why on earth did you open the door on that plane?" Pickles blinks and replies, "I thought it was the restroom door. I didn't know it was the exit." That only makes Hitpig angrier, pacing around in frustration. But Pickles, ever the optimist, starts poking around. He searches the junk lying around and finds enough scrap material to build a vehicle. "Come on," he says to Hitpig. "Use your genius brain and build us something to get out of here." And just like that, Hitpig's anger melts into admiration. He rolls up his sleeves and gets to work. Before long, the two of them had built a quirky but functional escape vehicle. They hop in, wave goodbye to their makeshift home, and hit the road. But their journey isn't over yet. As they drive, they come across a small, colorful carnival. Pickles' eyes light up like fireworks. He slams the brakes, jumps out, and runs straight for it. Hitpig tries to stop him, but has no chance. Pickles is already climbing a massive stack of balloons, laughing and floating up into the sky. With no choice, Hitpig grabs hold of another balloon and floats up into the sky, chasing after Pickles. He has no choice now, he's got to catch the big elephant. But to do that, he lets go of his own balloon and drops straight down through the air. Pickles, watching from up, doesn't realize what's really going on. She thinks Hitpig is just having fun. When Pickles crashes into Hitpig, he scrambles out of the way and swings onto another balloon. This little back and forth keeps happening balloon to balloon, until after 4 or 5 midair collisions, Pickles finally stops his wild flight. Now he's stuck with Hitpig, whether he likes it or not. As the two settle down, Pickles begins to pay attention to what Hitpig is saying. During this quiet moment, Pickles looks down at Hitpig and asks, "Have you always lived alone?" But Hitpig brushes the question off, saying, "Nah, you don't need stuff like that." Still, Pickles keeps talking. He shares how back in the circus, someone named Lipin used to mess with him all the time. Listening to these stories, something starts to shift in Hitpig's mind. He starts to second-guess himself. Should he really go through with returning Pickles? Is this really the right thing? He's still thinking about it when Pickles reminds him that he once promised to take him to India to find a real family. After hearing that, both of them settle in and fall asleep beneath the stars. The next morning, they wake up and look around. They've drifted close to a city. As soon as he sees it, Hitpig lets go of the balloon, and they slowly descend. They land on a stage, the same one where Hitpig's favorite hit TV cooking competition is being filmed. While Hitpig is checking the place out, one of the crew members approaches Hitpig and tells him he's next in line to compete. Hitpig can hardly believe it. This is my dream, he says out loud, stunned. What am I even doing right now? Pickles, ever supportive, nudges him. Don't be scared, he says. Come on, let's get you ready. With that, he helps Hitpig prepare and sends him off to compete on the show. Even though Hitpig walks onto the stage, he's shaking with fear. He's not sure he can do this. But Pickles sneaks up behind him and whispers, I'll be right here with you. My hand's got your back. With that reassurance, Hitpig finally relaxes. Together, they start preparing their dish. The rules? Use all the ingredients provided and finish in 5 minutes. They chop, stir, and sauté in a frenzy. But then one last ingredient is brought in, live crab. Neither of them wants to hurt the creatures, especially Pickles. But Hitpig, determined to win, is ready to do what it takes. He grabs the kilt and aims to squash the bugs. Pickles rushes in, trying to stop him, and in the chaos, they end up destroying the entire cooking stage. Eventually, they compromise. Hitpig trim off just a tiny part of one cockroach's antenna and add it to the dish. Somehow, despite all the disasters, they manage to complete the challenge. The judge steps up to taste their food and is shocked. This is delicious, he declares. And just like that, Hitpig's lifelong dream of being on the show and impressing the judges finally comes true. And the one who helped him the most along the way? His unlikely best friend, Pickles. But their celebration doesn't last long. Word reaches Lipin, who sees Pickles on TV. Realizing where he is, Lipin immediately calls Hitpig. I saw the program, he says. Stay right there. I'm coming to get Pickles. Now, Hitpig couldn't understand what to do. Suddenly, he notices that everyone is coming up from underwater. He quickly goes to find Pickles, and together they start searching for a way to escape. Hitpig manages to get out, but Pickles cannot and loses consciousness. Seeing this, Hitpig gathers air and breathes it into Pickles' mouth. It's a heartwarming moment. After a while, the wall of the tank bursts and they emerge from the water, escaping the building. Soon, Lipin arrives with a bag full of money, $1 million. He hands it to Hitpig. You did your job, just like you promised. Pickles overhears this and is crushed. He realizes now Hitpig had been hired to catch him. Hitpig tries to explain, I don't care about the money anymore. I'm not handing him over. I'm taking him with me. Lipin stares at him. What's wrong with you? Are you going against me now? Before Hitpig can answer, Pickles interrupts. I'm not going with either of you. I'll find my own way. And with that, he starts to walk off. Lipin quickly signals his guards. One of them unleashes a terrifying creature, Kibulin, that captures Pickles and throws him into a cage. As soon as Hitpig sees Kibulin, he remembers that it was the same crocodile that took Bartha's life. He's paralyzed with fear and collapses on the spot. The creature is too much for him, and now Lipin drives off, taking Pickles with him. But let's rewind for a moment. Back when Pickles was first brought in by Hitpig, his gun had fallen. Leticia, Hitpig's old ally, had found it. Though broken, she managed to fix it and now uses it to steal his vehicle. She's determined to find Hitpig. When she finally reaches him, she wakes him up. Where's Pickles? She asks. Hitpig can only say, Lipin's already taken him. Leticia jumps back into the car, ready to chase after Lipin. But Hitpig calls out, wait. I'm coming with you. Leticia blinks in confusion. What? You were going to hand him over. And now you want to save him. Hitpig lowers his head and admits it. He made a mistake. He apologizes to Leticia. She gives him a look. If you're coming, then bring your other 2 friends too. Those friends? Leaf and Pole, the ones who were furious with him earlier. When he finds them again, they punch him hard, letting out all their anger. But afterward, they agree to join him. They're a team now. A team with one mission: save Pickles. Meanwhile, Lipin is preparing to host his biggest show yet. The entire city is buzzing, and people are only coming because he promised each person $100. No money, no crowd. While Lipin is busy getting ready, we check in with Hitpig and the crew. They're deep in planning mode, trying to figure out how to get Pickles back. That's when a surprise addition joins their rescue team, Super Rooster, the superhero of their world. His show is a TV favorite, and everyone is a fan. The team watches Super Rooster's farewell video together. Inspired, they finalize their plan. Finally, the big day arrives. The circus where Lipin's show is about to begin is packed, and Hitpig's team sneaks in. But just as they step in, the big circus doors slam shut behind them. Now, all the people are trapped, and no one really knows how this bizarre show is going to play out. Everyone stands there for a moment, trying to figure out what to do next. That's when Hitpig suddenly remembers something important, a story Lipin had once told him. Lipin had mentioned that their big show would begin in 4 hours, and it wasn't just any show, it was going to be the biggest show ever held in the history of his family. In fact, he claimed it would be the highest show in the world. The moment Hitpig recalls those words, a thought sparks in his mind. Wait a second, could this be a spaceship? As soon as the idea hits him, it clicks, it's exactly that. The whole circus is a hidden spaceship, and Lipin is planning to launch it into space to perform the show in zero gravity, something no one in his family has ever dared to do. That's what makes it so special for him. A few moments later, right before everyone's eyes, the entire hall starts to rumble. Slowly, it lifts off the ground and begins launching into space like a giant rocket. Meanwhile, the others, Hitpig and his crew, are trying to keep up. They're in their own vehicle, chasing after the rocket. But the problem is, their vehicle isn't strong enough to escape Earth's gravity on its own. It just can't make it that far. So the team thinks fast. They decide to use the explosive materials stored inside the mechanical family cat. That gives them just enough boost. Then, out of nowhere, Sub Rooster pops out. He grabs hold of a cane and starts using it to pull the vehicle forward, helping them get closer to the rocket. It's a chaotic, wild effort, but somehow, they all work together to power the vehicle and fly after the circus rocket. Finally, they get close, but not close enough. Lipin kicks his rocket into overdrive, pushing it to maximum power. His rocket soars ahead and disappears into the sky. Moments later, it explodes into a dazzling burst as the show begins right there in space. Floating above the Earth, Lipin begins his grand performance. Back down below, Hitpig and the rest finally reach the rocket. They're too late, most of the show has already happened. Hitpig quickly contacts his vehicle's system and asks how they're supposed to bring the rocket back to Earth. That's when the system reveals a shocking truth. The genius who designed the rocket only figured out how to launch it out of Earth, but never created a way to bring it back. There's no return plan. As that unsettling truth settles in, glowing stars begin to fall all around the rocket. They're out of time. The team needs to act fast if they want to save everyone on board. They find a way to break through one of the glass panels and get inside the rocket. But just as they're making their move, Lipin's two sidekicks turn against them. A fight breaks out in the weightless chaos of space. During the struggle, someone accidentally unlatches Hitpig's vehicle from the top glass dome of the rocket. At the same moment, everyone who had been fighting starts getting pulled out of the hole one by one, sucked out into space. First, Lipin and his two cubs float out. Luckily, their space suits were designed for this. They can breathe even if they're drifting outside. But once they're out, they realize they can't get back into the rocket. Then, one by one, the others begin to get sucked out as well. No matter how hard they resist, the vacuum of space pulls them out. Hitpig is the last one. But unlike the others, he doesn't have a proper spacesuit. If he ends up outside, he won't be able to breathe. He'll suffocate. And he knows that. But his team doesn't leave him behind. They all work together and manage to save him, pulling him back to safety just in time. Then, using every ounce of power they have left, the team somehow manages to redirect the rocket and bring everyone on board back to Earth. Once they safely land, everyone celebrates. They've done the impossible. They saved the people, survived space, and even wrapped up the craziest circus show in the universe. All the problems that had been building up are now finally behind them. So the team decides it's time to go their separate ways, settle down, and live the rest of their lives in peace. Pickles, in particular, decides to follow his dream. He heads off to India, hoping to find a family and start a new life there. Everyone else also begins their own journeys, scattering across the world to find their own version of happiness. But sometime later, we see Pickles return. He couldn't find the family he was looking for in India. Instead, he comes back to find Hitpig, who by now has left his old job of capturing animals. Hitpig has started a brand new life. He's running a fancy restaurant, serving delicious food to people. It's peaceful. It's calm. Pickles walks up and tells him, "I didn't find a family in India. So, I decided to come back and stay with you." Hearing that, Hitpig smiles and asks, "Want to go for a walk in circles?" Just then, Hitpig's car pulls up and out comes Laddie and the rest of the gang. Even though they all live in different places now, they make it a habit to meet up every evening just to hang out and have fun. And so, life goes on for them, full of laughter and friendship. But the movie isn't quite over yet. In the final scene, we catch up with Leticia and his girlfriend. The two of them are still out there, drifting through space together. And eventually, they come to a stop right near the sun. As they float closer and closer, they begin to evaporate in the blinding heat, and quietly, they both die together. And just like that, the story comes to a dramatic end. Lupin's final journey takes him into the heart of a star, ending his chapter forever. Let us know in the comments what you think about this movie. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that button so you don't miss the next incredible animated story.